I recently got back from seeing the new Chainsaw Man Reze Arc film, and what stuck with me the most was how the movie reframes the coming-of-age story of Season 1. It takes everything the anime hinted at, the awkwardness of growing up, the suddenness of change, the painful way love appears and disappears, and turns it into something more elevated, more tragic, more complete. This arc is the story of how a single moment, a single encounter can tilt your whole life in a new direction. A chance for happiness appears as sudden as a spark, only for that hope to be detonated just as quickly. In this film, love becomes a bomb, a force that promises escape, but leaves you staring at the smoking ruins of what could have been. For Denji, the film almost becomes a rite of passage. We see him shift beyond his focus on survival in Season 1. Instead here, learning to work with others, learning to control his powers, learning to navigate a world that constantly treats him as a weapon, a destructive force that needs to be constantly monitored. For the first time, he's obligated to confront what it actually means to have a heart. Makima's quiet observation repeats throughout the film, almost as a kind of prophecy, as if she's warning him that his heart will be tested, becoming the source of both his growth and his destruction. On the other side of the film stands Reze, a tragic mirror of Denji's life. She's torn between her mission to take Denji's heart, and her desire to live as a real girl. Not as a weapon, not an experiment, just a young woman who wants to experience warmth and freedom. Her backstory, much like Denji's, is defined by loss and manipulation. Raised to follow orders rather than follow her aspirations. Taught how to seduce, deceive and survive. In a way, they're both shaped by a world that denied them childhood, denied them normality. Yet, the core of the arc isn't about violence, it's about connection. About two people, both broken in different ways, trying to figure out if they do in fact deserve love, or if they are destined to hurt everything they touch. The Reze Arc challenges them, forces them to learn how to swim in a world that has only ever thrown them in the deep end. At around the 30-minute mark of the film, Reze's sudden appearance in the phone booth becomes the fuse that sets everything in motion. For Denji, this moment feels like the world opening a door he didn't know existed. In this moment, Reze treats him like a normal boy. She talks to him, laughs with him, looks at him, not as the Chainsaw Devil, not as a weapon, but as a young man. And before her true intentions are revealed, she's the first person in his life who seems to care about Denji, the human being. In his eyes, she becomes a symbol of freedom, this shining possibility of a normal teenage life he never got to live. While her interest is partly a tactic aimed to manipulate, I would argue that there's something genuine hiding beneath it, a real recognition of loneliness, and a real attempt to reach out. Ultimately, she sees herself in Denji, sees the empty part of him that mirrors the same part of her. Denji and Reze are both city mice trapped in cages, built by the authority in their lives, two people trying to glimpse at a world through the prison bars. The film captures this dynamic most effectively in the famous pool scene, one of the most important moments in the arc. It's the first time the two of them are free of their programming, their mission. The pool glows with a dreamlike, surreal light, almost ethereal, with the water shimmering like an escape hatch to another world. Yet, the tragedy is so ingrained in this scene, in this setting. The pool is enclosed, boxed in, surrounded by four walls. Their experience of freedom happens within a controlled, contained environment. They are swimming, yes, but only in a small space, never the truly open expanse of the ocean. It's a microcosm of the life they want, but simply can't have. A taste of something real, but never the full thing. And this motif is echoed to us earlier in the film, during Denji and Makima's date, where they watch a movie about two lovers in the countryside, embracing in open fields, an image completely disconnected from Denji's reality. He can only observe it like a prisoner, gazing at the world outside of his own, confined behind a window. And the setting of Tokyo amplifies this. A city of concrete, glass, wires and noise. The film rarely widens our view to show the world beyond the city, and this visual choice makes Denji appear trapped, his world limited to alleyways, rooftops and small apartments. The cinema scene and the pool scene work together as two glimpses of freedom, beautiful yet fleeting, and destined to be stolen away by forces working behind the scenes, far bigger than either of them. Later in the film, after Denji and Reze's climactic battle, they finally reach the ocean, and the visual shift is immediate. After Reze's betrayal and the chaos that preceded it, the ocean appears as a calm, almost sacred space. And finally here, the walls fall away, the walls that we saw in the pool. There's none of the artificiality of the city, no manipulation from authority, just two people sitting together at the edge of something vast. Ultimately, this is the real freedom they've been chasing all along. The water stretches out infinitely, no boundaries, no missions. Denji sits facing the horizon, speaking openly and honestly in a way he rarely gets to do. For a moment, they're not weapons or devils, they're just Denji and Reze, imagining a life in this moment that could have been. But again, here, there's a deep tragedy in this scene. When Reze admits she never liked Denji, she stands behind him. She can't face the ocean. She rejects this moment. She can't sit beside him in that moment of truth. All because of her training and her trauma, these things pull her back into the shadows she thought she had escaped. Even as Denji offers her a future together. She steps away, turning her back on the sun. She walks the opposite direction of freedom. Denji swims, but Reze sinks. And ultimately, this is the tragedy of their arc. Reze is too late. Too late to realise that the freedom she offered Denji, the dream of leaving everything behind, was the very freedom he was offering her. Denji didn't care about her mission or her power. He cared about her, the girl who laughed with him in the phone booth and swam with him in the pool. However, the world they live in swallows her whole before she can accept that. And most tragically, in the final moments of the film, Denji's return to the cafe is where the learning to swim metaphor finds its end. He walks back into the place where he first got to know Reze, where he first imagined a different future, but this time he is alone. His choice to return to the cafe shows that he chooses to pursue love over violence, chooses to feel instead of shutting down like in the beginning of season 1. For a young man who was raised in suffering, this is monumental. He doesn't run, instead he lets himself feel the sadness, feel the sorrow, and then chooses to step forward. Denji learns how to swim in the emotional ocean that Reze ultimately couldn't cross. Overall, the film becomes a test for both of them, a harsh but true lesson about love, and the fragile hope of escape. Denji and Reze come together as two broken hearts that, for a moment, form something whole. But while Denji learns to accept freedom wherever he can find it, no matter how small, Reze's realization arrives just a moment too late. She glimpses the ocean, but never steps into it, never embraces it. In the end, Denji survives by learning how to swim. Reze, tragically, drowns in the life she never chose. Her realization comes, heartbreakingly, ever too late.